Good morning, Glenwood Gator family. Mr. Mitchum and Dr. Graham here this morning. We're 2 days away from school starting and just want to touch base with you guys and tell you how excited we are about you coming back to school on Thursday, August the 6th, and go over a few things with you that we expect of our students and parents during this pandemic time. Just want to, before we do that, thank you once again for your patience and understanding. Last school year, starting in March, we had to shut down school and go to virtual learning. And I want to thank you for your patience and understanding, and also thank our teachers for the outstanding job that they did during that difficult time. And we're now preparing for the new school year. And it's our prayer, hope, and goals is to maintain the full school year of school, providing that the government does not shut down all schools in the state. We feel like we have a plan in place to do that. And we'll share some of the same things with you this morning that we're telling our teachers as we go through. Since we're unable to have a full school-wide open house this year, we thought we would do this virtually and share some things with you and be ready to start school on Thursday. We did have an in-person orientation for all of our new students coming to Glenwood, and also our new sixth graders coming up to the Alpha School, and also our seniors. So now we're meeting with everyone else to share information. If you have any questions about anything upper school wise, shoot me an email or give me a call. Lower school wise, do the same thing through Dr. Graham. So I'm going to start off by asking Dr. Graham to talk about the lower school, the expectations there and requirements. Dr. Graham.
Hey everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to walk quickly through a lower school students day so you guys will know the protocol should you have to check your child out, drop your child off, pick your child up, things of that nature. So morning drop off, please remember that the lobby is no longer open. We used to come in and wait for classrooms to open, and we are not going to be able to do that this year. Classrooms open at 7:30 a.m. Until that time, your child needs to remain in their car, and then they can walk into the school, go to their first period or to their homeroom teacher, and we will get their temperature checked and get them settled in class. But please remember that there's no waiting in the lobby this year. If you do drop your child off prior to 7:30 a.m., we will walk him or her to morning care. We do have morning care with Miss Natalie Davis that starts at 7 a.m. and lasts until 7:30 a.m. Please note that there is an extra charge for morning care. So remember, if you drop your child off before 7:30, we will take them to morning care at your expense. During the day, don't forget second grade and up have to wear masks anytime they move, basically. So walking to the cafeteria, they have to wear a mask. Walking to PE, they have to wear a mask. Or coming in the mornings, mask up. Leaving for the day, put your mask on. We do recommend that parents send either a Ziploc bag with the child's name on it or like a Rubbermaid container, plastic container that they can put the mask in when they take the mask off, such as at PE, during class when they are able to be socially distant. But please provide something for your child to put their mask in so that we can keep it clean throughout the day and they just don't lay it on their desk or on the floor in the gym. If for any reason during the school year you need to check your child out, please do not come in the building. You are to call the main office, call Anita Edwards, the lower school secretary. She will retrieve your child and we will walk your child out to your car. For any pickups, drop-offs, checkouts, check-ins, a person has to be on the pickup list for us to be able to release your child to them. We will ask for ID, photo ID, and that's just to ensure your child's safety. So please let anybody know that's picking up your child or checking your child out, they have to be on the pickup list and they have to bring proper ID for us to release your child to them. In the afternoon, we'll do pickup like normal. Remember that they can, if you're in third and up, we will walk your child to the car and dismiss them. Please do not come in the building. Second grade and down can have one parent come in and pick the child up and escort them to your car. Any and all adults who are ever on campus or guests who are on campus must wear a mask at all times. So please don't forget to mask up before you walk in to pick up your preschooler through second grader, or if you're coming in for any other reason. Virtual students. So Miss Britt is going to be reaching out to you. In fact, she already has. So I need my virtual students to check their emails, the parent emails. She is scheduling a Zoom with you so that she can show you how the virtual platform works, how to complete your work, what you will see on your end as a student and as a parent. So if you are a virtual student for the first semester, please, 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 parents, check your email because Miss Britt has already reached out to you and she needs to meet with you to get everybody started. That's pretty much the extent of what I need to say about the lower school, but I am going to take a minute to talk about when you should not send your child to school, no matter what grade they are in, according to CDC guidelines in dealing with COVID. So please keep your child home if the child is not feeling well. That's an obvious one. It's very important to monitor your child's symptoms. We are relying on you parents to do your part before you bring your child to school to make sure they are well enough to come to school. Potential symptoms of COVID-19 are in our reopening guidelines. If any symptoms or if a fever are present, do not bring your child to school. Please do not medicate your child and send them to school. And I'm going to say that again. Please do not medicate your child with Tylenol or Motrin or anything else and send them on to school. If they have a fever, they have to stay home. We understand that it's difficult with working parents, but they cannot come to school if they are sick. Your child should also not come to school if anyone in the household is diagnosed with COVID-19. Per the CDC, anyone in close contact, which is closer than 6 feet for 15 minutes or more, so clearly if you're living in the house with someone, you're in close contact with them, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks from the last contact with the infected individual. So not even if your student tests positive, if someone in the student's household tests positive, they have to quarantine for 14 days. It takes 2 to 14 days for symptoms to occur, because I know there's some confusion about, well, if I test positive, I can come back after 10 days, but if somebody in my house tests positive, I can't come back for 14 days. That's because symptoms vary as far as presenting in people from person to person. So that's why there's a 14-day waiting period for people who live with people who have COVID. It takes 2 to 14 days for symptoms to occur, so even if the student tests negative, so somebody in the household's tested positive, you take your child to be tested, your child is negative, they still have to quarantine even with a negative test because they are living in a household with somebody who has tested positive. And we understand that it's inconvenient, but that's what we have to do to keep everybody healthy. So they should not return to school until 14 days is over. And that gives us time for the symptoms to manifest if your child's going to have it, but even with a negative test, they can't come back to school. Your child should not come to school if they or a family member in the same household has been tested for COVID-19 and results are pending, even if no symptoms are present. If results are negative, then the student is able to return to school at that time. So if somebody in your household has been tested for COVID and you're waiting on those results, your child should not come to school during that time. If the person who was tested gets a negative test result and your child has no symptoms, they may return to school at that point. If a member of the household is positive, then the students start quarantining for 14 days from the last contact with the sick family member. If the student tests positive, they may return in 10 days as long as there has been no fever for at least 24 hours without using fever-reducing medications. So let's just say your student did test positive. They have to quarantine for 10 days and they have to be fever, symptom, medication free for 24 hours at the end of those 10 days before they can come back to school. So let's say your child's doing well and on day 8 they spike another fever. Your 10-day quarantine period starts over. CDC guidelines are often changing. We know that. We fully intend on sending you updates probably within the next week or two. But this is what we have to go on right now, and we need you to do your part in keeping us all safe and healthy. Please comply with all guidelines that have been set forth, not only by Glenwood's reopening guidelines, but also the CDC. All guidelines are subject to change as new information is received. Please work with us to keep our schools safe. Mr. Mitchum?
Thank you, Dr. Graham. Just pick up on the mask issue, especially in upper school and lower school as well. We're not going to require students to wear a mask while they're in the classroom and being taught, unless the teachers ask them to work in groups. Then of course they'll have to wear a mask at that time. Also, if the teachers are working within 6 feet of the students, then both the teacher and the student will wear a mask at that time. So that's a little leeway we're having in the classrooms, because face-to-face instruction is kind of hard when you can't see faces to respond. So that's just a little bit additional information on the mask wearing. Upper school students that arrive on campus before 7:40 each morning are required to come to the gymnasium. You'll have your temperature checked in the gymnasium when you walk in, and you'll social distance until 7:40 to return to your class. At 7:40, you will go straight to your first period class. Do not gather in the hallways, do not gather by your locker or whatever. go straight to your first period class. Again, you will have your temperature checked in your first period class. Even though it was already done in the gym, it'll be done again in first period. Parents, what we're doing on temperature checks, if we get a positive above 100.4 temperature, we'll send that child down to be further verified by Nurse Lindsay. And if the temperature is still high, then Nurse Lindsay will place that student in a quarantine room that we have developed in the lower school gym, at which time you'll be called to pick up your child with 1 hour of being notified that your child has a high temperature. All that means is you need to check with your family physician, see if further testing is to be done. And if they don't think so, then 24 hours, like Dr. Graham said earlier, medication free, they can return to school. Late check-ins at school, we're trying to eliminate as much paper as we can. So if the students come in late, we're asking them just to stick their head in the office and tell Kim in the upper office or Lanita in the lower school office that they are on campus. And we'll send the teachers a notification through email that that child has arrived. Upper school will send all of their teachers notification that they have arrived. We're asking that no paper notes be sent to school this year for doctor's appointments or excuses. Everything should be emailed or scanned to us. And that way we'll notify the appropriate teachers that someone is out today and be checked out, etc. In the upper school, we are checking out students every half hour. So if you have a student that needs to check out, please notify Lanita. And whatever the next half hour is, so you call it 8:30, we'll have your student checked out by 9 o'clock, 9:30. We're not having you come in the class, like Dr. Graham says, you cannot come into the school. We'll have a school office personnel, could be a student aide or an office worker to come down and bring your child to you at the end of the checkout time. So please give us 30-minute leeway if you're coming to pick up your child to check out. Those students that are driving themselves to and from school, email verification from you that they're checking out, then we'll have that student to leave immediately upon notification from you that they can check out of school. Pickup procedures and drop-off procedures for middle school 6 through 8 in the morning time or in back of the upper school building where the football field is. All middle school students are dropped off there. In the afternoon, after school is out, 6th graders are picked up in front of the lower school on the end of the school closest to the upper school gym. And the foyer there or under the shelter at that end of the building. Now we ask our 6th grade parents for pickup is not to come before 3 o'clock because the elementary students are dismissing earlier than us. And we don't need to have a traffic jam of middle school parents blocking our elementary school parents picking up their kids. If you're bringing a combination of lower school students and middle school students to school at the same time, we recommend that you just take all of your students to the lower school, and the middle school and high school students can walk up to where they need to be in the upper school. You'll not have to drop off at both places. So just drop off at the lower school, and the upper school kids and the high school kids students are mature enough to walk to where they need to be on their own. Visitors on campus that are not necessarily needed are asked to set an appointment to schedule a time to come in and meet if we need to. If we can do the meeting by Zoom or virtual methods, we'll do that. We have to have an in-person meeting, we can do that as well, as long as we practice social distancing and have masks and those type things. So we're just trying to limit the number of outside people coming on campus during the school day for obvious reasons. That's one of the tough things about this pandemic is we're very welcoming to visitors and parents and grandparents on campus. But at this time, we just not feel like that's the right thing to do with the pandemic still going on. There's different things that the upper school is doing for social distancing. One thing is we have a lane line in the hallways. It's like driving down the road. It's a solid orange line instead of a solid yellow line. There's no spaces in between the lines where you can pass if the coast is clear. We ask your students to stay on their right side of the hall, walking just like you're driving a car. Try to stay as far apart as you can, get into class. Students are asked not to walk 2 and 3 abreast going down the one lane of the hallway. Lockers are to be used for storage of books only. It's not a place to gather and socialize and talk to your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. So unless you're stopping at your locker, you do not need to be stopping at anyone else's locker. Hallways will be monitored to make sure folks are adhering to that. All water fountains in both buildings are shut off with 8 exceptions. We have installed what we call refilling stations for water bottles for all students to use. Thanks to the PTO for providing 8 of these filling stations for us. So students can bring their own water bottle to school with their name on it. If they need water during the day, we have a no-touch filling station that they can fill up their water bottles to do that. Restrooms are very limited. We have the number on the doors in the upper school room, how many can go in the restroom at one time. And we ask students not to dilly-dally around in the restrooms, use the restroom, wash your hands, come out so we can get other kids in right after you. Social distancing in classrooms are very tough, especially in the upper school where we have 20 or 25 kids in a class. If we use a 6-foot rule, we will not have enough teachers to adhere to that. But all students will be social distance as much as possible. All students will be faced in the same direction. So nobody will be sitting face to face and talking to each other within a 6-foot radius. We do have safety shields in the cafeteria that will allow us to have lunch and social distance at the same time. Several of our classrooms have social distancing shields in their rooms, such as the Ingenuity classroom. And those teachers that only have tables will have some type of shield to protect them. Big change in PE that we're doing up through not including athletics. We're not comfortable right now putting our students in the dressing rooms to dress out. So we will not be dressing out for PE. We'll be doing a combination PE study hall initially, maybe for the first 9 weeks of the first semester until we get a handle on the virus and the outbreak and a vaccine coming in and those type things. So all regular PE classes will have a combination walking, physical activity, either in the gym or on campus, on the sidewalks, and a combination of study hall as well to help them get ready for the day, or if it's the end of the day, they can go ahead and do their homework for the following day. We just do not feel comfortable right now putting regular PE students in the dressing rooms with our athletes. We're trying to keep the athletes separate. In case we're having a breakout with the athletic program, we can trace that back to the dressing rooms and not get the entire student body involved in that. So sorry we're not dressing out, but you will have PE and you will have a study hall as a part of that. Check-ins in the morning. Students will need to check in at the office and just stick your head in and let Kim know that you're here. And we'll notify the teachers that you're here through email. Checkouts the same way, we've already talked about that. So everything we've done virtually and not in person like it has been in the past. Some extra exam exemptions for grades 10 through 12. COVID-19 absences will not be counted against the exemption requirements. So those absences related to COVID-19 that are documented by a doctor will not count against your child's instruction. Let me talk about virtual learning just a minute and being out for COVID-19. Being out for COVID-19 can work for students as well as teachers. Our goal is if a student is quarantined for 10 to 14 days, our teachers will still reach out and work with that student while they're quarantined. That'll be a method of whatever the teacher feels best for her class, and that will be communicated to you when that happens. So your child will still be taught as they're home being quarantined if they're physically able to do that at home. Also, if one of our teachers has to be quarantined because of COVID-19, we have the capability of that teacher teaching from home back to your students in the classroom through Google Classroom and the smart boards, et cetera. The teacher will be there teaching, coming through the virtual mechanism back to the classroom, and we'll have a monitor in the classroom, an adult monitor to monitor the kids what's going on. So teaching will take place both for teachers being out of school and also students being out of school. Those that sign up for virtual learning, a reminder that you have a 5 o'clock orientation session today in room 100 or 101, I can't remember now, the Ingenuity room. So remember to come to that 5 o'clock Tuesday afternoon Ingenuity session, where you'll be trained how to access it and what your requirements are to remain online virtually. Parents, you hear a lot of different things on why we're opening up so early or why we're not waiting like a lot of surrounding school systems are. Let me give you a quick explanation. First of all, I have not seen any data that says schools are going to be better off to wait 4 more weeks or another month. So if anybody has that data, be glad to share it with me. We feel like we're ready. We're not a school system. We are a self-contained school, period, pre-K through 12. We have 3 different pods. We have a pre-K through 5 pod, we have a 6 through 8 pod, we have a 9 through 12 pod. If we were to have a breakout in one of those 3 pods, we have the ability to shut down that pod and not have to shut down the other 2 pods that can remain on campus. So that's the big difference in us in public schools. We can in actuality shut down grades K9 through 12, let them do virtually for 10 days and then come back on campus without shutting down the entire campus. Those that are in daycare, unless the government tells us otherwise, if we were to have a full school shutdown and the government allows us, we'll still have daycare because you parents still need to work. And the daycare is a very essential service that we provide for those essential employees that need to work if we have a total school shutdown. We don't foresee that, but we have mechanisms in place that if we'd have to shut down the entire school or just parts of the school, we can make it work. We're going to have people get sick, students and parents. And like all sickness, we'll handle it the best way we can and keep kids engaged in learning if they're sick. Same thing with teachers. So bear with us. We'll handle sickness like we have had it in the past and do the best way we can. Just want to reemphasize again, please help us to be the first line of defense when your kids come to school. Make sure they have answered no to all of these questions about COVID-19. And we'll do the temperature checks when they get here. We're expecting a very good year. Hopefully athletics will take place starting August 22nd here against Bessemer, the defending state champions in football. Also volleyball is getting ready to start. And we'll talk about social distancing and wearing masks for athletic events at a later time, but it is a law right now through the end of August. So if we have a football game prior to August 22nd, be prepared to wear a mask. Even though it's 9 degrees outside or higher, we're required to wear a mask. But all those things about activities for athletics and requirements for that will come out at a later date. We're just so excited about you coming back on campus. It's been a long time since last March. I told our faculty and staff yesterday morning, I think this is the first time in my 45-year career in education that both students and teachers are excited to be coming back to school. We had a very good first day yesterday with our teachers. They're very excited to see their students come back again and just can't wait to see each of you on Thursday morning at time between 7 and 8 o'clock on both campuses. And if you've heard something today you're not familiar with, give Dr. Graham or myself a call, shoot us an email, and we'll try to further clarify that for you. So we're just hoping for a great school year. And as always, go Gators.